When the words Supreme Court and immigration protections appear in the same sentence, everything suddenly feels heavier. This is not ordinary news. This is not a small policy update buried in paperwork. This is the highest court in the United States stepping into a matter that could reshape lives. And when the highest court speaks, the entire country listens. The urgency of this moment cannot be ignored. For Syrian migrants who rebuilt their lives here, this case is not just about legal arguments. It is about stability. It is about safety. It is about whether the protection they have depended on will remain standing or be taken away. That creates gravity. Because Supreme Court decisions do not simply suggest change, they define it. They interpret the law in a way that sets direction for the entire nation. One ruling can influence policy for years. One decision can determine how immigration authority is used moving forward. That is why this moment feels different. When immigration debates happen in Congress, there is discussion, negotiation, political back and forth. When executive orders are issued, they can sometimes be reversed by future administrations. But when a case reaches the Supreme Court, it signals something deeper. It means the legal foundation itself is being questioned, and that carries weight. Imagine being a family who escaped conflict, who found safety in America under specific protections, and then hearing that those protections are now under review at the highest legal level. It feels like standing on solid ground and suddenly hearing that the ground may not be as permanent as you thought. That urgency spreads quickly. Communities begin asking questions. Advocacy groups prepare responses. Legal experts start analyzing every detail of the case. News outlets begin covering every argument presented before the justices. Because everyone understands the same thing, this is serious. But urgency does not mean panic. It means attention. It means awareness. It means recognizing that something important is happening and refusing to look away. The Supreme Court does not move quickly or emotionally. It listens to arguments carefully. It reviews the Constitution. It studies precedent. It considers the limits of executive power and the authority granted by Congress. Its decisions are detailed and structured. That process takes time. Still, the mere fact that protections are being reviewed at this level signals that the legal questions surrounding them are significant. It tells us that the debate over temporary protections, humanitarian relief, and executive authority is entering a critical stage. For many families, that creates sleepless nights. For others, it creates determination to understand the system more deeply. For communities, it creates unity, people coming together, sharing information, seeking clarity. Urgency can be frightening, but it can also be powerful. It forces people to pay attention. It pushes communities to prepare. It reminds everyone that immigration policy is not static. It evolves, it is challenged, it is defended, it is interpreted. And when interpretation happens at the highest court, the outcome can shape the future. This is a moment that demands seriousness, but also strength. It demands that we understand the legal process without letting fear control us. It demands that we follow facts carefully and avoid rumors that exaggerate or distort, because while the stakes are high, decisions are not made overnight. Arguments are presented, opinions are written, rulings are announced formally, implementation follows legal procedures. The gravity of this case is real, the urgency is real, the attention it deserves is real. And in moments like this, when the legal foundation of protections is being examined at the highest level, awareness becomes more important than ever, and strength becomes the steady anchor that keeps communities grounded while the legal process unfolds. Alongside the urgency of this Supreme Court case, another powerful emotion rises quietly but deeply: fear mixed with uncertainty. For many Syrian families, protection in the United States is not just a legal category. It is a shield. It is the reason they can sleep at night. It is the reason their children can go to school without constant worry. It is the reason they dared to rebuild their lives after everything they endured. So when that shield is questioned, even in a courtroom far away in Washington, the impact is felt inside homes across the country. You can almost picture it: a father scrolling through news on his phone after work, a mother pausing while cooking dinner, reading headlines carefully, young adults who grew up here trying to understand legal terms that suddenly feel very personal. What does this mean for us? Will our status change? Is our future safe? These questions are not dramatic, they are real. For people who escaped war, uncertainty is not a small thing. Many Syrian migrants did not leave their country by choice. They left because staying meant danger. They left behind neighborhoods they loved. They left careers, businesses, homes filled with memories. They carried trauma with them, even if they rarely speak about it. Arriving in America under protection was more than paperwork. It was relief. It was the first moment they could breathe without constant fear. It was a second chance. And now, hearing that protections may be reviewed or limited by the Supreme Court brings back a familiar feeling, the feeling of instability. It feels like standing on solid ground and suddenly wondering if cracks are forming beneath your feet. Parents think about their children first, children who speak English fluently, children who dream of becoming doctors, engineers, teachers, children who feel American in every way. What happens to their future if protections change? Do workers think about their jobs? They have built careers. They contribute to the economy. They pay taxes. They support local businesses. They are part of communities. What happens if legal certainty disappears? Uncertainty spreads quietly. It does not always show on the outside. People still go to work. Children still attend school. Life continues, but inside hearts feel heavier. Fear can be powerful, but fear does not mean weakness. It means something matters deeply. And when something matters deeply, it is natural to worry about losing it. At the same time, uncertainty forces attention. It pushes families to seek information. It pushes communities to talk openly. It pushes people to understand their rights and options more clearly. Instead of ignoring the situation, many begin asking smart questions. They contact attorneys. They attend community meetings. They follow official updates closely. They prepare documents. They stay alert. That response is strength, because while fear may enter the room first, resilience follows close behind. Syrian migrants have already shown extraordinary courage. They survived conflict. They survived displacement. They survived starting over in a completely new culture, language, and system. That resilience does not disappear because of a court case. Uncertainty may shake confidence, but it does not erase strength. In moments like this, communities lean on each other. Families remind one another of how far they have come. Friends share verified information instead of rumors. Faith, hope, and solidarity grow stronger. And even though questions remain, even though the outcome is not yet known, there is something powerful about facing uncertainty together instead of alone. Yes, fear exists. Yes, the future feels unclear. But within that uncertainty lives determination, a quiet but powerful refusal to give up, a commitment to stay informed, to stay prepared, and to stand strong no matter what challenges the legal process may bring. Behind every legal case, behind every headline, behind every courtroom argument, there are human stories, real stories. Syrian migrants are not just a policy category, they are fathers who once ran small shops in their hometowns. They are mothers who once walked their children to school on familiar streets. They are students who dreamed of university before conflict interrupted everything. They are grandparents who never imagined leaving the land where they were born. War changed all of that. Homes were destroyed, neighborhoods became unsafe, daily life turned into survival. The choice was no longer about comfort. It was about protection, about keeping children alive, about escaping fear. Leaving Syria was not easy. It meant saying goodbye to everything known and familiar. It meant stepping into uncertainty. Many traveled long journeys, many waited in refugee camps, many carried only small bags, but heavy memories. When they arrived in the United States under protection, it was not about starting from zero, it was about starting from less than zero. New language, new system, new culture, new rules. Everything had to be learned from the beginning, and yet they did not give up. They studied English late at night after work. They accepted jobs that were not easy. They rebuilt slowly. They found community centers. They enrolled their children in school. They celebrated small victories, a first paycheck, a child's good report card, a driver's license, a rented apartment that finally felt like home. These are the human stories behind the words temporary protection. Protection meant safety. It meant no fear of being sent back to danger. It meant stability long enough to breathe and plan for tomorrow. Children who arrived very young grew up here. They learned American history. They made friends. They joined sports teams. They dreamed big dreams to become doctors, engineers, teachers, business owners. For them, America is not temporary. It is their reality. Parents worked hard not only for survival, but for dignity. They paid taxes, they followed the law, they contributed to their communities, they volunteered in schools, they opened restaurants, they supported local economies, they tried every day to show gratitude for the second chance they were given. These are not abstract ideas, these are human lives. So when a Supreme Court case questions protections, it is not just reviewing legal text, it is touching stories like these. It is touching years of effort, years of rebuilding, years of healing. The human story reminds us that immigration is never only about law. It is about people who have endured loss and still chose hope. It is about families who carried trauma and still chose courage. It is about children who saw hardship and still chose to dream. And that human strength matters, because even when policies are debated and protections are challenged, the resilience of these families cannot be erased. Their contributions cannot be erased. Their stories cannot be erased. They have already proven something powerful, that even after destruction, life can be rebuilt. Even after fear, hope can grow. Even after losing everything, dignity can return. These are the faces behind the headlines. These are the hearts behind the court case. And remembering their humanity keeps the conversation grounded in what truly matters, not just legal arguments, but the lives of people who fought hard for a chance to live in peace. In moments like this, when emotions are high and uncertainty feels heavy, it is important to understand the role of the Supreme Court clearly. The Supreme Court is not a political rally, it is not a campaign stage, it is not driven by applause or headlines. It is the highest legal authority in the country, and its job is to interpret the law, not to create fear and not to create hope, but to apply the Constitution and existing statutes carefully. That understanding matters. When a case reaches the Supreme Court, it means there is a serious legal question being examined. It may involve executive authority. It may involve whether a protection program was created within the limits of the law. It may involve how federal power is defined, but it does not mean instant change. The court listens to arguments from both sides. Lawyers present detailed legal reasoning. Justices ask difficult questions. They review past decisions, known as precedent. They examine the Constitution line by line. They consider how their ruling will affect not just one group, but the legal system as a whole. This process is thoughtful. It is structured. It takes time. Understanding this can calm some of the fear. A Supreme Court case does not automatically cancel protections the next morning. It does not send enforcement officers to homes overnight. It does not erase status in a single moment. Even after a decision is made, implementation follows legal procedures and timelines. The court's power is strong, but it is also limited to interpretation. It does not operate emotionally. It does not respond to public pressure in the way political branches sometimes do. It focuses on whether actions taken by government agencies align with the law. This is why clarity is so important. If protections were created through executive action, the court may review whether that action stayed within legal authority. If Congress has not passed permanent legislation, the court may examine how temporary programs are structured. These are complex legal questions. They are not simple yes or no emotional decisions. At the same time, we must respect the seriousness of the moment. A ruling can influence how immigration protections are handled in the future. It can redefine limits. It can require Congress to act if more permanent solutions are needed. But the legal system in the United States is built on checks and balances. One branch reviews another. Decisions are written in detailed opinions. Dissents may be published. Legal experts analyze every word. This structure exists to prevent sudden chaos. When we understand how the Supreme Court functions, we replace panic with awareness. We replace rumor with process. We replace fear with information. Knowledge gives strength. Instead of imagining worst-case scenarios, we focus on facts. Instead of reacting emotionally to every headline, we follow the case carefully and responsibly. The Supreme Court is powerful, yes, but it is also deliberate, and that deliberation means that while the stakes are high, the system itself moves with intention, not impulse. In a moment like this, balance becomes everything. It is easy to swing to extremes. Some voices will say protections are ending tomorrow, others will say nothing will change at all, but the truth usually lives in the middle, in careful analysis, in legal detail, in patience. Balancing concern with clarity is powerful. Understanding that difference protects your peace, concern is natural. It shows that you care about your future, your family, your safety, but clarity ensures that concern does not turn into panic. It keeps your mind steady, it keeps your decisions wise. When big legal cases make headlines, emotions rise quickly, news outlets may focus on dramatic language, social media may exaggerate possibilities, rumors may spread faster than facts. In that environment, clarity becomes your anchor. Clarity means asking simple but important questions. What exactly is the court reviewing? What specific legal issue is being challenged? When will arguments be heard? When is a decision expected? What happens between now and then? These questions slow down fear. They replace imagination with information. They turn confusion into understanding. Balancing concern with clarity also means recognizing that legal outcomes often come with explanations and timelines. Even if the court limits certain protections, there may be grace periods, there may be policy responses, there may be new legislation introduced, there may be further legal action. The story does not end in one moment. That awareness keeps hope alive, even while facing uncertainty. It is possible to take this case seriously without letting it control your emotions. It is possible to prepare wisely without assuming the worst. It is possible to stay informed without becoming overwhelmed. That balance is strength. Communities grow stronger when they respond calmly instead of react emotionally. Families make better plans when they rely on verified information instead of fear-driven speculation. Individuals feel more confident when they understand the process rather than imagining extreme outcomes. Clarity also reminds us that the legal system includes many steps: arguments, deliberation, written opinions, potential follow-up actions. It is not a sudden switch that flips overnight. By choosing balance, you protect your mental and emotional health. You avoid unnecessary stress. You focus on what you can control, staying informed, organizing documents, seeking trusted advice, and in doing so, you transform a moment of uncertainty into a moment of empowerment, where careful thinking replaces chaos and steady awareness replaces fear. In times like this, strength does not come from loud reactions. It comes from awareness. Awareness is powerful. It is calm. It is steady. It is the ability to look at a serious situation and say, I will understand this clearly before I let it control my emotions. When a Supreme Court case threatens protections, rumors move fast. Social media fills with dramatic headlines, messages spread in group chats. Some say everything is ending immediately. Others claim nothing will change at all. The noise becomes overwhelming. That is why awareness matters more than ever. Awareness means going directly to trusted sources. It means following official court updates. It means listening to experienced immigration attorneys who explain what the case truly involves. It means separating facts from speculation. This is not about ignoring the issue. It is about understanding it fully. When you are aware, you do not panic at every headline. You do not make rushed decisions. You do not allow fear to push you into mistakes. You move with information, not emotion. Awareness also protects families from scams. In moments of uncertainty, dishonest people sometimes appear. They promise guaranteed results, they demand large payments, they claim inside information. But real legal change does not happen through secret shortcuts. Real updates come through official channels. When communities stay informed together, they become stronger together. They share verified information. They warn each other about false rumors. They attend community meetings. They support one another emotionally and legally. Awareness creates unity. Instead of isolation and fear, it builds connection and clarity. It also builds confidence. When you understand how the Supreme Court process works, how arguments are presented, how decisions are written, how timelines unfold, you begin to feel less powerless. You realize that there is a system, there are procedures, there are steps, and steps take time. That time allows preparation. That time allows consultation with legal experts. That time allows families to organize documents, explore options, and make thoughtful plans. Awareness turns uncertainty into action. It encourages people to ask smart questions. What are my current protections? When do they expire? What alternative options may exist? What legal resources are available in my area? How can I prepare for different outcomes? These questions are not signs of fear, they are signs of responsibility. Being informed also strengthens emotional resilience. When you understand the situation clearly, you feel more in control. You replace "what if everything collapses tomorrow" with "I know the process and I am following it carefully." That shift is powerful. Awareness reminds us that while we cannot control court decisions, we can control our response. We can choose knowledge over rumors. We can choose preparation over panic. We can choose steady focus over emotional chaos. And awareness is not only individual, it is collective. Community leaders, legal aid organizations, advocacy groups, and neighbors all play a role in spreading accurate information. When people work together, fear loses its grip. In moments of legal uncertainty, awareness becomes your shield. It keeps your mind clear. It keeps your steps careful. It keeps your family protected from unnecessary stress. It allows you to stand firm, not because the situation is easy, but because you understand it. And when you understand something, you face it with strength instead of confusion, with clarity instead of fear, and with a steady heart even while the legal process continues to unfold. Even in the middle of legal battles and uncertain headlines, there is something stronger than fear: resilience. Syrian migrants know what it means to endure. They have already faced situations far more terrifying than a courtroom decision. They have lived through conflict, instability, and loss. They have made impossible choices to protect their families. They have crossed borders with courage when staying behind meant danger. That kind of strength does not disappear because of a legal challenge. It lives inside them. Resilience is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is quiet determination. It is waking up each morning and continuing forward even when the future feels unclear. It is building a life, step by step, even after everything was taken away. When Syrian families arrived in the United States, they did not arrive empty of strength. They arrived with survival in their bones. They arrived with hope in their hearts. They arrived ready to work, to learn, to rebuild. And rebuild, they did. They opened businesses. They became medical professionals, drivers, teachers, engineers. They volunteered in local communities. They raised children who dream big. They turned pain into purpose. That resilience is powerful. It means that no matter what the legal outcome is, they will not be defined only by a court ruling. They will be defined by their courage, their unity, and their refusal to give up. Hope rooted in resilience is different from simple optimism. It is not blind. It does not ignore challenges. It understands difficulty, but it also understands strength. Communities grow stronger during uncertain times. Families lean closer. Faith deepens. Support networks expand. People check on one another. They share resources. They offer encouragement. Resilience also means adaptability. Syrian migrants have already learned how to adjust to new systems, new languages, new environments. They have proven they can navigate complex processes. They have proven they can stand tall even when circumstances change. That inner strength is a powerful foundation, even when policies are debated, even when protections are questioned. Resilience keeps hearts steady. It reminds people of how far they have already come. It reminds them that survival once felt impossible, and yet they survived. Resilience turns fear into focus. It turns uncertainty into preparation. It turns anxiety into action, and hope grows from that resilience. Not the kind of hope that ignores reality, but the kind that says, no matter what happens, we will face it together. We have faced worse, we will not break. That spirit cannot be taken away by any ruling. Because long before this Supreme Court case existed, Syrian families proved something powerful, that even in the darkest circumstances, the human spirit can endure, rebuild, and rise again with strength that refuses to fade.